The band's visit is not a typical Broadway show. It has no big dance numbers, it features Arab music, yet it's one of this season's biggest shows, with 11 Tony Award nominations. What is it about going against the odds that makes a project work?
It really is kind of an outlier. It's a cliche to use that word, but we'll use it. There were a lot of lessons that I learned because it is so unexpected for Broadway. Lessons about trusting my instincts in terms of what works and what doesn't. Lessons about collaboration and keeping way open to people who I knew were smart and who I knew were another cliche, on the same page as me in terms of the tone. Part of collaboration is also knowing how not to blindly accept criticism or suggestions, but then how to question it correctly when you are questioned or get a criticism.
So you're talking about collaboration. How do you know that you're hiring and recruiting the right team?
It begins with the person who you're working with who's writing, in my case, writing the book, the script. So you circle around each other. You talk about the source material, if there is source material. You talk about the story. And pretty quickly you'll understand whether you're on the same wavelength in terms of story, character, but most importantly, tone. So tone is the overarching initial question. And I suspect that it's very similar if you're going into partnership with someone around a business. Not just the tone, sort of the tone of the business, meaning how you present the business and also how you are setting up your collaboration, who's doing what, but also the tone in terms of how the whole workplace is going to work. So in the case of a show, which is pretty good analogy, I think, you're deciding on the tone of the piece that you're doing. But even while you're doing that in the very initial stages, you're already setting up the building blocks for everything else that you just asked about. You're setting up the building blocks for who the director might be. You're setting up the building blocks eventually in the hiring decisions. A lot of that has to do with casting. It's a trope that 95% of directing is casting correctly. Broadway musical has somewhere between 50 and 100 people working on it. So you're hiring for talent because it's an art form, but then you're also trying to make sure that the people you're hiring are people you want to work with. And in the case of the orchestra pit in a Broadway show, it's like hiring a crew on a boat because they're going to be down there in tight quarters, night after night after night, 8 shows a week. And you really want people who have a joy in what they do and who bring a spirit of collaboration to every rehearsal, every performance.